My name is Matthew Gray, spelled Mattthew Gray.
All right. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, and maybe some of the things you've done recently?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I grew up a little bit of everywhere. Most recently, just moved to Arkansas from Arizona. Plan A in life was go into the military, to be in pararescue, but I tore my meniscus in high school wrestling, and so that was off the plate. Plan B was to become an engineer. I started at the University of Arkansas for a few years and then went to Arizona State University because they are one of, I think, 4 schools in the country that offer astronautical engineering. I'm a huge space nerd. The plan was to go just like build rocket ships. But slowly but surely, started kind of like reading books and getting into the just world of business, and decided to drop out of school to become a full-time entrepreneur. That was back in, I want to say 2018, 2019, somewhere around there. And have just been like, building businesses has been my main focus since then, but have had some part-time internships in like Department of Defense contracting, doing a little bit of work on the Apache helicopter. Still very, very interested in aerospace and rockets and outer space and all that. But of course, Photure and my own business and ventures is my complete pursuit right now.
Okay. How many different types of jobs have you worked that have kind of led you to where you are now?
Boy, uh, a lot, a lot. My gonna go through like a litany right here, but first job ever was at a daycare in high school. I was 16, was just like hanging out with 5th graders before school started. That was a great time. Spent time as a lifeguard for a few years. Loved that. It was just kind of like a summer job, and hung out with friends, sat in the sun, and got paid for it, as you know. Uh,
Mhm.
and I'm not going to go through all of them because the list is long, but a few different sales jobs, sold cell phones, sold cars, um, industrial cleaning, manufacturing. I built circuit boards and like different aerospace components. That was really fun. Loved that job. Um, Learned a lot. Let's see what else. Fun fact, I worked as a therapist for a little bit.
As a
Yeah, that was,
therapist?
I worked as a therapist. Yeah, it was
Wow.
applied behavioral analysis, and I was a behavioral analyst. So it was uh, doing behavioral therapy for mostly children with special needs. Just
Okay.
um,
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, it was a crazy time. Great job, loved it, learned a lot.
Mhm.
But that was kind of in between engineering and entrepreneurship, and just like I liked it, just tried it out, but realized that it's probably not the career path for me. So
Mhm.
stopped doing that
Yeah.
after a bit.
Learned a thing or two at every job.
Absolutely.
So, what is Photure?
Photure is the decentralized global news network. Our grand vision is to take the entire news and reporting industry, journalism, all of that, take that infrastructure and build it into our app. This is something that was just recently made possible by the advent of the blockchain, specifically something like Polygon, allowing us to make NFTs as easy as making a post on Instagram, as it should be. And specifically with reporting, I have a personal ethos of like, I would rather get a firsthand recounting of an event rather than the storytelling and narrative building, all the flair of a media outlet or a journalist who goes and interviews 100 people who were at an event, gets an aggregate perspective, and then you get their narrative thrown into it. Like there's, I think, kind of a broken telephone issue going on right now where like something happens, people see it, somebody hears about it, they go talk to the people who saw it, they tell them, they give it to an editor makes the revisions and takes like the stakeholders, whatever perspective into account, and then you get it. So like your chain of knowledge of what's going on in the world is indirect. It's very indirect to say the least. And so what we are doing is peer-to-peer reporting.
Okay. And that kind of led into my next question, but why create Photure?
Just, yeah, like you said, it's you know, kind of a lot of the same, but it is to make a better way of doing things. I think that as with so many things that have just been around for so long, like a new technology comes along and you don't think like, oh, XYZ isn't working. You just think like, oh, XYZ, like that's how it works. And it takes, you know, kind of a big jump to transition from one way of doing things to another, where the new version has to be much, much, much better than the old in order to make that transition. And I believe that that's what Photure is. And I think, you know, just kind of going back to the peer-to-peer version of this is like, even the whole ethos of the blockchain is peer-to-peer exchange of information. And that is exactly what we're doing, where I want to be able to talk directly and hear a firsthand account of something that's going on in Ukraine.
How was Photure created?
Well, Photure actually began with just one of my co-founders, Patrick Pistor. He is been a programmer since like the age of 10 or 11. Very brilliant, very bright guy. And his specialty is on front end, like UI, UX. He's Apple Design Award winner. And especially like mid last year, like summer of NFTs, late last year, there was kind of a resounding problem in the Web3 NFT crypto space where like usability was just not there. Everything was kind of clunky. You had to be a little technical to get things off the ground, even like setting up a wallet. So he decided to make just the fastest, easiest minting process possible. So it initially started out with a crypto wallet that he was building, but all of his users just kept saying like, how do I make an NFT? How do I make an NFT? And so he's like, fine, I'll do that. So he built that out, and the goal was to make the fastest, easiest minting process on mobile, and we still are that. In Photure, you can create an NFT in seconds rather than going through the whole cumbersome process of OpenSea and paying the high gas fees of Ethereum. We are on Polygon, so each mint costs us around a penny, and it is free to our users. Thankfully, with Polygon, we are able to pay the cost of all the gas. So minting in Photure is, and I have a hard time saying always for anything, but for the foreseeable future, it will be free.
Mm-hmm. And so minting off of Ethereum would cost significantly more than off of Polygon, which is that's
exactly
what led you to Polygon instead of Ethereum.
Exactly. There were a few different design decisions around going to Polygon specifically. We considered Solana for a bit, but I don't know what that whole route was. So we'll wait for one of the Patrick or Evan interviews to go in depth for the decision on Polygon. But yeah, the clear distinction between Polygon and Ethereum, at least, is of course cost and speed. Minting an NFT on Ethereum could cost upwards of $50-$60. And so you know, we've had a total of more than 10,000 NFTs created in app so far. And if we were to eat that cost on the Ethereum blockchain, we would go under as a business. So
yeah, so it's a no-brainer. How did Photure get its name?
The original thought on Photure was future of photography. Our initial go-to-market was with just NFT camera was NFT photographers. And so we decided to say future of photography, that is Photure.
Okay. And could you go a little more in depth on the specific solutions that Photure offers?
Absolutely. I mean, we could do a whole hour on any one of these, but there's four in particular that I'm going to try and just collect here. The first one is, of course, disinformation and misinformation, where the things that you see on social media, it's just so hard to verify them. Like, I have mixed feelings about the whole concept of fact checkers and all that, but even the fact that they exist points to a grand problem in all of media. Like, we are a world that lives on the internet now. I believe it's like 84% of the world has a smartphone, and that number is only going to continue to go up. And the things that you see online, like, there's no verification. Like, you can see that this is an image, and like, if somebody's like, hey, look at this picture that I took today, or like, here's an image from this event, look at like all these people having a bad time or whatever. And then turns out that was an image from another event that happened 6 years ago, totally different context, totally different reason. And just like, it's just so easy to lie on the internet, as everybody knows, you know. But with Photure, what we're doing is we are, first of all, leveraging the power of the blockchain. And so if content is posted, there is a time and date stamp on the content being created. That's very important. Another one is that makes us special is that we are mobile first. And so every piece of content that is created in app has a live indicator showing that this image was taken at this time on this date from this person's cell phone. And this person will only be identified by a wallet address. So there is another layer of anonymity while maintaining authenticity of the content. So live indicator, timestamp, also a geotag. We are doing it down to 0.1 latitude, longitude degrees, and that accuracy is 6.9 miles. So it'd be approximate enough to say, like, this image was taken in this city, but let's say somebody takes it at their home address, then they would not be able to like pinpoint like, oh, this person lives here. So that is misinformation, disinformation is the first one. The second one is consolidation of news media. In 1983, there was a total of 50 companies. They controlled 90% of news media. And today, since 2011, that number is now 6 companies that control the same 90% of news media, which is, of course, like, let's say like the number of people in each company that goes into decision making for what is published and how it's published, how everything is phrased, and, you know, to green light information distribution. Let's say it's 10 people at each company. That means that there is a total of 60 people deciding what 350 million Americans are seeing and hearing on a daily basis. And that, to me, is, you know, to everybody, should be very slanted. You should be able to, you know, Twitter, and, you know, I think that the world got that way very fast. And now we're just now realizing like, hey, maybe that should not be that way. And like, Twitter is working on like build your own algorithms and to like decide, put the power of deciding what type of content you see back into the consumers rather than completely in the hands of the producers, which I think it's a great push, very, very important to have. Third one is news deserts. So there is a global issue that, you know, this kind of goes along with the consolidation of news media, where, you know, news outlets are just getting bought up left and right. And so like hyper localized news is something that is becoming more and more rare. So like there's a city over here with a news outlet, and there's a city over here with a news outlet, and 12 cities in between that are unserved. And so with Photure, the future intent that we're going to kind of build out with, I'm not going to get too deep into the roadmap right now, but we do have an intent where one person downloading the app is now a news outlet. You have a capturing, writing, and publishing studio in your pocket. You know, everybody, back to the global penetration of the smartphone market, hyper localized news is good for everybody. I think, you know, whether it be me wanting to know what's going on in the town that I grew up in, or there's some crazy thing going on in some village in Nigeria, if just like one or two people or a collective of people are publishing what's going on in their locale in that area, first of all, it would be like global firsthand perspective. So I would get the firsthand perspective of what's going on in my hometown and what's going on down my street and what's going on village in Nigeria or war in Ukraine. So that's for news deserts. Fourth one is censorship. There is a continuous issue, again, with censorship where I have split feelings about it, because like if somebody builds a platform, they should be able to decide what is on and off of the platform. I think that is, you know, kind of a very strong like Web2 sentiment, is that platforms can just say like, all right, you can say that, you can't say that, so you're kicked off. And like, there's just like too much power for the voice of people. Like America in particular is a nation of free speech, but the social media platforms that have been built here, speech is not completely free. And so it is kind of diminished, and you have to watch what you say or you will get deplatformed. So with Photure, even if, you know, there is of course a limit to what we will allow you to post. There's some things that are just absolutely not acceptable on any platform. And the thing about our content in particular is that it's an NFT minted on IPFS. Even if somebody posts something on Photure and we remove it from our front end, which is something that we can do, that piece of content would still exist on the blockchain and on IPFS. That can never be removed from us. So like what we're building is partially a protocol. And so let's say there's somebody who says like, oh, I just want like just a front end to view all this type of content, then they can still go take all the things that have been created in Photure and make their own app to just display the content. That's the whole thing of Web3, is that like our server is IPFS and Polygon. We don't run our own storage servers. We just post and pull content from the decentralized ledger.
Okay, yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, yeah, it's incredible. My only question is, has this ever been done before, and how or why has it, or has it not?
Great question. I think we've come across a few different projects, some really great ones that are building out pieces of what we're doing, like content authenticity and like decentralized reporting. Those are some individual pieces. But the whole like comprehensive end-to-end news media industry that we are building into our app is something that I have not come across. But yeah, there's people building pieces, and you know, we may even be borrowing some of those pieces and some mutually beneficial partnerships, but nobody that is doing everything that we are doing.
And would you say that that's partially due to like the evolution of technology at the current state that we're in the world? Like we've never been at this stage before.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. Like everything is so new. Like I didn't even hear the word NFT until like last January, and now it's, you know, my whole life. Even like the blockchain, there was another project called Civil. We're still kind of like in the works of getting into contact with the original founder of that, which is now working with Consensus in some way. So I'm looking forward to talking to them. But that was a company that shut down their project in 2016. And that was 6 years ago. And where the blockchain is now compared to where it was 6 years ago is tremendously different. It's very analogous to, I'm going to get a little bit philosophical here. Moore's law is just saying like the number of transistors that could be fit into a space gets doubled every 18 months or some time frame. But that law is not just about like circuit boards and like computer logic. That law is first of all something that also applies to like flight speed. The flight speed, like record flight speed, also follows Moore's law. But like it's not really a law. It is a statement that says like specifically like computing and flight speed and now blockchain are all three things that are important enough for the whole world to put effort into making this technology better. And that's why it's scaling exponentially, is because it's so beneficial for so many people, and there's so much incentive to grow this technology that's why it's scaling so fast. Another kind of analogy that I keep hearing is the comparison between like Bitcoin 2009, Polygon 2022 is very much like a vehicle built in 1940, just in park, running idle, consumes more gas and is less efficient than a car in 2022 running at 60 miles an hour. And so that car built in 1940s that is a gas guzzler and slow is Bitcoin 2009. And the 2022 Tesla that is very energy efficient, very fast, very effective, mass production is Polygon. And that's just kind of like a analogous way, like why I'm like, this is about Photure. I'm very excited about Photure, but the chain that I'm most excited about and like everything that they're doing is Polygon. I'm big fan.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, so there's so many different chains out there, and I feel like so many people are interested in so many different ones, but a lot of people aren't really sure why they're interested in them, or really so sure about the back end stuff. Is, I guess, the broader audience isn't really sure. So you, someone who's more deeper in the space, would probably know a little bit more why to be excited about a specific chain, or why not. So it's nice to know that Polygon is probably something to pay attention to for the time being.
Absolutely. I am like absolutely not an investor by any means. Like what excites me about Polygon is the technical ability that the technical capability that it provides developers, and then through those developers will be provided to the world. Really incredible things being bought there. First of all, like zero financial advice. I'm not saying put your money in Polygon. Like when I'm saying I'm excited about a project, it has zero to do with price.
Okay. And well, who will benefit most from Photure? You're talking a little bit about benefits of technology happening, but who are the people that you think will benefit most from Photure?
That is a great question. It's a hard question. I don't think I have a specific answer for who would benefit most, because first of all, we are kind of hitting a two-sided market. First of all, it is the people who are creating news. And then second of all, it's the people who are consuming news. And as far as news production and news consumption goes, both of those, Photure is the vision that we are building towards. Like once you start using Photure for those two things, there's no reason to use anywhere else. Mass news media will still be consumed, but the way that we are building out the content makes us very much cross-platform publishing. So something that you post in Photure, you can use to supplement the news that you are already creating, just because take this news and put it into an NFT and get a Photure stamp on it, it authenticates the content that you are creating, along with the ability to post anonymously. So let's say somebody in Ukraine just wants to spin up a wallet and post on Photure because they believe that the thing that they are seeing in front of them needs to be put into the world, but they don't want their name to be attached to, they are the ones that got this into the world for whatever reason. Use Photure. And who else can you use for that? Like, are you going to post that on your Twitter profile? If you spin up a fake Twitter profile, then you'll have 0 followers and no one's going to see it. So as far as the production goes, Photure, like, why use anything else? And as far as the consumption goes, it goes back to the same thing, is if I'm a consumer and I see a picture on social media, and then I see the same picture on Photure, and there's different context on social media, then what was posted over there is false, and what was posted on Photure is true. There are, of course, contingencies and ways that could be, gotten around. But as we get into the roadmap, we're just kind of like fleshing out the authenticity of content is the main focus that we are really building out. So make that the best for the consumer and the creator.
Okay, that's awesome. When did Photure become a company? How long has this been going for?
Good question. I don't remember the exact date of incorporation. I want to say somewhere around March. Probably before that, I want to say February, because when we were applying to accelerators and all that, we did have to incorporate as a Delaware C Corp in order to get funding from investors. The first NFT was minted in September of 2021. So that's when the project started, when first things, the ball started rolling. I would say that is when the company started. And then paperwork was officially filled out around February of this year.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, it's really, really new. So it is really, really exciting.
It is. I'm unlimitedly excited to get everything off the ground, and unlimitedly pumped to be working with the team that we're working with. Patrick and Evan are both just straight up superheroes in the things that they do, and I'm just blown away by their capability to get things out. We took this initial pivot, when we took this pivot, we got version 1 into the App Store in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Just they're impressive in what they do, for sure. So yeah, especially with tachyon, I would say they the definition of a tachyon is something that can a particle that can only move faster than the speed of light, and that is very much the mindset that tachyon put all of us into, is that anything that we're doing, we can do it faster, ship product, period.
How has Photure changed since its inception?
Tremendously it's changed. Well, like I said, Photure started out initially being called Plant App, Planter or something like that. It was going to be a wallet on Polkadot, and that was official V1. Through Patrick's user research, he went to just the NFT camera, which was just an in-app camera that you could take a picture and post it to the blockchain. We didn't even have a feed. You couldn't even see the content that you posted in-app. You would have to go to the blockchain to see it. Since then, we built the feed, started really focusing on NFT photographers, and we realized that photographers have a very particular workflow. They do not just take a picture, post, which is exactly what the app was at that time. They have a very flushed out editing process, post processing for all the images that they take. that could take hours or days. And so speed was almost solving a benefit for photographers. So obviously kind of thought like, what can we do for them? So that's when we added upload to camera roll, upload from camera roll. And that was, of course, necessary. And then onward from there, we launched on Product Hunt in early September. That was to coincide with the App Store release, and got 2,600 downloads in the first month. And now we are at just about 30,000 downloads, and just a bit over 60% of those users are split between Russia and Ukraine. And the type of content that our users in those war-torn regions were posting was not just CryptoPunks or Bored Apes, or it was a little bit of Instagram content, just like their kids and what they were having for breakfast. But overall, it was just like to give a live documentation of the things that they were experiencing in their lives. And so as you've seen, there's pictures of our old version on social media somewhere. There's just like bombed out apartment buildings and tanks on the side of the road, and like a soldier with his AK-47, or and so we're like, hey, this is a use case, and so let's start exploring this. And so that's when we started looking into the news media, and like how Photure and the blockchain can like solve that problem space, along with talking to users. When we were doing the NFT photography focus, we talked to NFT photographers about us, and like they were like, that's cool, like I'll check it out. It was like a lukewarm interest, but you sat in on interviews with journalists in Ukraine, and they're like almost crying. They're like, this has to be solved. Like, please, like, fix this. When can I get this in my hands? I want this right now. Like, and so that was just kind of like a resounding decision of like, this is the segment of people that needs us most. And so that's our focus now.
That's awesome. And that leads me into my next question about, well, what are like the values and the mission of Photure to its core?
Great question. I would say, first of all, like we are completely in parallel with the ethos of the blockchain. Like I said, just peer-to-peer exchange of information. I want to be told what's going on by the people that are experiencing the things that are going on. So that is the thing that I want most personally, and I think would be our greatest accomplishment is to build that out. And of course, like sovereignty, I would say is also sovereignty is something that is like every person should have. Like you should be able to speak publicly about the true things that are happening to you. That is not possible everywhere. But on Photure, I promise that is what we are going to stick to for forever, is individual sovereignty.
That's great to hear, because it feels like that might not be the same values of some of the people that control the information that gets exposed to the masses.
Exactly. I'll get like a little bit into, just hypotheticals. Let's say a news industry or a mass news outlet is funded by an oil company, and that company has an oil spill. They're very disincentivized to like speak truthfully. If the truth is negative on that company that they are funded by, then they have no reason to talk about, give a true perspective of the event that's going on. So with us, Like, we do have stakeholders, but we are not the ones publishing the content. Like, even the people that we're recruiting, like, we are not telling them to post anything in particular. We are saying, post your story, your truth on our platform, and we're not going to be the ones to decide what that is.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, no, it's refreshing to hear, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
About the roadmap, I know you didn't say too much about it beforehand, because I mean, it might be changing, but is there anything coming up on the roadmap that you're really excited about? Like, is there anything you're specifically most excited about that might be coming soon?
I would say just scaling adoption of the basics is the thing that I'm most focused and most excited about. I think just like the core of our product, just like really, really hammering that down, started building on this direction fairly recently. So there is product in the App Store right now, but where it is now compared to the vision of where we're going, we're multiplying from where we're at. The core of the business that we are really hammering down right now is the Photure stamp on each piece of content, a news feed, and getting people around the world to use Photure as a news reporting app rather than a social media. So, just kind of, I believe, like a live indicator, geotagging, and timestamps, along with being posted on a decentralized ledger, is enough to hammer home those four things that I mentioned earlier: disinformation, misinformation, consolidation of news media, news deserts, and censorship.
And would you say, like, so the Photure stamp can almost make something be recognized as, that it's not been tampered with? Like, you want the logo to be something that people see it, they realize they can trust it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's I've thought of instances where, like, let's say somebody posts something and then they manufacture a Photure stamp and say, like, change the date on it or whatever, to post it on social media. That's something that can be done, but we're also kind of planning on building out like a transaction ID, so you can go look up that piece of content on Photure and like get another layer, like, okay, this image is the same as that one, or this image here has 3 less people, or it's just a completely different image. And that is something that is I think is crucial to our development.
No, yeah, that's really exciting. It's really interesting. Do you feel like, of all your ventures as an entrepreneur, this might be your favorite or the one you're most excited about?
Without a doubt. When I was 5, I drew up an invention. It was a helper robot to help my mom around the house. I was pretty excited about that one. Might still build it out. But yeah, aside from that, Photure is, it's my all day, every day. I see my future nothing but Photure, and every day. I wake up just so excited to work on this project with the people that I'm working on it with. You and Patrick and Evan and now our advisors from JournoDAO and investors from Tachyon and Protocol Labs, Consensus Mesh. Incredible people. That's one of been my favorite takeaways of building out this project is the people that we've been getting connected with along the way. It's just like such an incredible network. And like crypto, Web3, I'm in it for life. This is, just my people.
Has doubt ever crept in along the way when you've been building this? And how did you combat it?
Of course. Yeah, there have been multiple times where, Patrick, Evan, and I, and this is a little bit before you came on, we're like, is this it? Like, is the sun setting on this project? And that happened multiple times. We got turned down from other accelerators that we were applying for, and back to back to back to back to back to back no's from investors and all of that. So of course, but the momentum that we have right now, like I will push for this until my last penny. And
Mhm.
there's just no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Like I'm going to make this work. And until like bank shuts me down, I'm like physically forced to stop. I'm going to
Mhm.
keep going.
That's awesome. Yeah. Doubt has killed more dreams than failure ever has, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as
100%.
far as like, yeah, to go on that, it's um I have no doubt that the mission that we have is good and needed. Um,
Mhm.
but as with every business, there's a lot that is not under 100% of our control. So that is the only thing that I doubt, is that if those things will line up the way that we need them to. But as far as just um, like, oh, is this really what I want to be doing with my life? Like, that conversation that just
Mhm.
doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Like
Mhm. That's
I
awesome.
I have no doubt that this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now.
Would you say that there's like an end goal to Photure or like an ultimate goal
Um,
that you see or feel?
just decentralized news media. Just going to keep hitting that again and again and again.
Mhm.
I see no end for my involvement in Photure.
And well, how far do you feel you are away from getting this to where you envision it to be?
I think that uh, as far as getting the core product to just being happy with a core product would be by the end of the month. That is, the timeline that Patrick and Evan have set for themselves to get this out the door. Um,
Mhm.
and from there, it's just like talking to users, making minor improvements on the product, and just scaling adoption. And so it's really just like a month from now, we have the core functionality built out, a thing that we are happy with getting into the hands of users. And then from there, it's just scale more and more users,
Mhm.
more and more creators, more and more consumers. I want Photure to be in more than 100 countries, and I want to be able to just, um, it's not just decentralizing news media, it's decentralizing perspective of the whole globe. Like,
Mhm.
I just imagine, everybody around the world having a camera open at the same time, and you can look through anybody's camera. That's just like an
Mhm.
incredibly, like, even where we're at as a civilization, to like make that possible, and to add authenticity, to say like, oh, this is actually what I saw through my camera. That's just it's a beautiful world to live in, I think.
Mhm. So history may be documented through Photure and it'll be
Yes,
immutable and uncensorable,
yes, yes.
essentially. So that's kind of crazy to think about. Something
It
that's never
is.
been able to been done before. And
Mhm.
now that's the potential that lies in front of you.
It is. It is. That's exactly it. And like I just imagine a world. Imagine like if Faucher was in the hands of everybody around the world during World War II. All those important events, you would get
Mhm.
pictures, immutable, uneditable, uncensorable content from people in um, experiencing Pearl Harbor, something like that. Could you imagine just being able to like go back to that event and look, just like filter by this time at this date, or this location
Mhm.
at this date, and like history is being made every day. Like the world that we're living in is getting crazier and crazier, and I want Photure in the hands of everybody right now. The sooner the better, and the more the merrier.
Mhm. Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, it's almost hard to think about the potential that's there. And
Yes.
well, how would you say like the first early users of Photure, is that also just going to be everyday people? Is it going to be specific people that you think you can trust? Or what's that process looking like right now?
Yeah. Yeah. I would. We are making an effort. So yes, everyday people, but we are kind of handpicking them as we're getting this off the ground and building out the new functionality of just um, turning it from a social app into a news app. We are going to
Mhm.
start out by whitelisting creators just so it's not flooded with spam of just nonsense. So we are going to be asking specific journalists here in the United States and in Russia and in Ukraine. That is our three largest demographics right now, to just report on what's going on in their life. So we will be starting out with journalists just because they are the ones most familiar and most comfortable getting kind of like a regular cadence of um, documenting the things that are going on in front of them. So our first focus, like go-to-market strategy, would be to whitelist hand-selected journalists, get them publishing in-app, and like as far as the viewership goes, still let everybody view all of their stories. And then as we get that built out and figure out a way to maybe even like prioritize which stories are at the top of the feed, whether that be based on engagement or whatever, then we will open it up to everybody where anybody can come on and post the story that they are experiencing.
Mm. And do you feel like once this gets out there, and you said by the end of the month, and I'm sure that the war will still be going on, do you think that this app has the potential to change narrative of the war in some way, shape, or form?
Um, I think it is possible. There's definitely very realistic scenarios where um, Fox News says one thing, there's a firsthand account on Photure that says another, and we are verified on the blockchain, time and date stamp, live capture, proven that this was the firsthand perspective. So
Mhm.
that's something that I don't know of an instance where that's happened yet, but just the nature of what we're building, that is definitely a possibility.
And do you see this app being a must download for just about every single person that wants to see the truth? Is that how you feel about it?
Absolutely. Yes. Of course, everybody should download Photure. Yeah.
uh, is there anything that you might want to add? Anything you think that would be important for people to know that we haven't gone over yet, or possibly maybe about the ways people will be able to make money in the app and be like supported for sharing their truth?
Yeah, absolutely. We do plan on building out individual support mechanisms for the app, similar to Patreon. So if you see a story where someone's like fleeing their home country and like need just like crowdfunding support to just like get them through this event that they just published, that is something I would love to be able to do. It's just like
Mhm.
that's another huge aspect of the blockchain. There's many people that have already been suffering in due to what's going on in Ukraine, and they leave the country, don't have access to any of their bank accounts, but they have access to their wallets.
Mhm.
So I think that's something that's very important to build out eventually. I don't want to speak too much on it right now, just because it's not fleshed out at all product wise, and like as we approach it, we're going to be determining the specifics.
Mhm. But the goal, I think you would agree, is like to support the people who are being affected and who are actually like making the headlines instead of supporting the agencies that are
Mhm.
broadcasting it.
Exactly. I remember like that's a very big deal too, is attribution of news media. Like I remember seeing it was this really famous image called, I think it's called like Afghan Girl or something like that. It's just like an image of this little girl with like bright blue eyes in Afghanistan. And it's been like, if you were to pull it up, I'm sure you would recognize it. It's been passed around for years and years as this famous image. And
Mhm.
just the other day, this was not just the other day, it was probably a couple months ago, I saw that like that girl was being airlifted from Afghanistan, and just like like, oh, this girl that like everybody saw and was like in this famous image, she's now like fleeing her home country. And like, let's say she were to get royalties from that image being used across Time Magazine and news outlets and, just like the world's largest media producers, then like she would be financially well off enough to get out of the country and like do her, like, I don't know for a fact that she got zero from that image. But I am positive that if that image were an NFT on the blockchain, then she would have gotten a little more than that her likeness deserves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's something that would be amazing for Photure to be able to help people that are in those positions. Mm-hmm. So especially people that, their images are used and they go all over the internet. They go viral and they might not even have a clue and they don't see a dime. So yeah, that would be something that's, unheard of, very impressive, and life-changing for people, especially Absolutely. A lot of these people that are on these headlines that their life has been changed because of the negativity that's happened to them, why they're on the headline. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
But yeah, if there's anything else you'd like to add, anything you think that hasn't been said that you would like to say, more than welcome to air it out. But besides that, I don't have any more questions for you.
Nothing that I can think of. It felt like covered all the bases. I would say, first of all, like, go download Photure. It's on iOS and Android. Check out our website, photure.app. And last but not least, just like thank you, Ian, a ton for doing everything that you're doing. I'd like to interview you one of these days. You have a very funny story of how you came onto the team and your interest on everything.
Yeah, no.
But
thank you, Matt.
Thank you a ton.